It's Sunday, September 18th. And every time I turn around, there's another terrible thing happening in this country. And these are not new things. This is a continuation of a major problem that we have. And that problem is with our system of immigration. For some reason, we can't get it figured out on how to accept people into this country that desperately need a safe place to live. And who are the villains in this thing, in my mind? Well, I could call the whole federal government system villains, because they haven't taken the time and effort to straighten this thing out, to figure out how to do it right. But on top of that, we have two major villains. The governors of Texas and Florida, Ron DeSantis, who wants to be president, and Greg Abbott, who invented the asshole idea of shipping people on buses to places that weren't expecting them. And he's sending them to places that are in the blue states, just to pay back the Democrats for whatever they did wrong. But this latest episode, this episode that was created by Ron DeSantis, of flying people to Martha's Vineyard, telling them that they have jobs waiting and homes waiting for them. A blatant lie. And this is a guy who is leading in the polls to get a presidential run? How can we have this happening in this country? And what's even worse is that federal agents, immigration officials, falsified addresses for these people so that when they got to Martha's Vineyard, they could have their addresses changed. Why in the world did they give them false addresses in the first place? What was the purpose of that? What were federal agents? What were they doing? Falsifying immigration records. There are some that think that this false address scheme was done to make it seem like the immigrants had snuck into this country illegally. But that was not the case. In any event, the bright spot in this entire episode is the people on Martha's Vineyard. They rose to the occasion. They got these immigrants a place to stay in the Episcopal Church on the island. And they volunteered to take care of these immigrants. And they showed up with food and clothing and whatever else these immigrants had needs of. The people on Martha's Vineyard rose to the occasion. The staff of the Salvation Army is prepared to stay with those immigrants and take care of them as long as they have to. They're not going to desert these people. They're not prepared to throw them under the bus like the villainous presidential candidate did. So that's a sign in this country that somewhere in this country these people are accepted. And that's what this country has been about for 250 years. Accepting those that were less fortunate than us. Those that could come in and help us grow to the great nation that we were once. So I believe that the federal government has to step in and do something drastic. The mere fact that agents from Homeland Security took part in this scheme is enough for the federal government to say, we have to stop it. It's our job to take care of this situation. And in my mind, the situation is easily remedied, because as far as I'm concerned, states that do these things to damage the rest of the nation don't deserve any help from the federal government. I would cancel all aid. I would not give the state of Texas a penny of federal aid. I would not give the state of Florida a penny of federal aid. Those two states are bloodsuckers. They have no state income tax. And they are probably spending the federal aid putting people on planes and shipping them off, or putting them on buses and shipping them off. So why would we, the rest of the United States, be prepared to take care of the people who live in Texas and the people who live in Florida? If they are stupid enough to vote Greg Abbott into office and Ron DeSantis into office and push DeSantis as a presidential candidate, then they don't deserve any help from the federal government. And beside that, when you look at the cruel way that they have taken these immigrants and shipped them out of the country and lied to them with the aid of federal employees, that's a disgrace. So it's time to take a good hard look at our immigration system and figure out what the hell is wrong and hold states accountable to do their duties to the rest of the country. Because if this country believes that immigration is a help to our economy and to our survival and to our growth, then all of us have to contribute. Every single state has to contribute. Now, I know the system is a mess, but it's a mess because they don't want to get together and work hard to figure out what to do. This is a number one problem, among with several other number one problems that we are facing in this country. But the actions of these two governors is unconscionable. They cannot put the rest of the country at risk by doing this madness. And this is not a risk of life and limb or anything. This is a risk to the values of this country, to display to the world how inhumane we are. That's the risk. We have an image to protect, and these guys are thinking of nothing but destroying this country. So I leave you with that this morning. It's another notch, a bad notch in our belt. It's another piece of the divisiveness that is running rampant throughout this nation. So have a great day if you can. Bye.